You know, I was reading this article over at TNAnews.com, and I'll provide the link down below. But, you know, this person was, the question they were asking, and there were several questions. In fact, I want to talk about two of them anyway. The first question this person asked that I was reading, because I'm subscribed to the WrestlingNewsSource.com and WrestlingNewsWorld.com Facebook pages, and Wrestling News World's, one of the sister sites is TNA News. And one of the articles they posted was an article entitled, "The Aces and Eights, Knowing When to Stop." Now this person has basically said almost the same kind of things everybody has said. Everybody from No DQ, Renegades, Off the Rope Show, British Fist, you name it. They have basically said the same things. And that is, until lockdown, Aces and Eights really wasn't anything relative, if you know what I mean. Until lockdown, it was nothing really significant, nothing really threatening about Aces and Eights, or nothing noticeable except maybe who the members were going to be, except most of the members were already known before they were unmasked. And then, when lockdown came around, everybody pretty much knew we were going to get what we did. They just didn't know we were going to get the added addition that Bully Ray would announce himself as the president. That kind of really spiced things up a bit, I will admit that. But now the question this person has is, when are they going to know, basically, from what I've read in this article, is when is TNA going to know when to stop the Aces and Eights? Basically, bring it to an end so they don't overkill it. You see, one of the things this individual is afraid of is right now in their eyes currently happening. You see, what's happening in their eyes right now, from what they've noticed, even last night, is that it seems that ever since lockdown came to a conclusion and the whole reveal and everything is taking place, it seems that Aces and Eights storyline might be losing some steam again. In other words, creative steam. Now they're trying to throw in certain things here and there. Now I'm pretty sure when One Night Only comes around with, I don't know if it's the tag team or no, it's not. It's going to be the World Cup of Wrestling. It's going to be the World Cup of Wrestling one. When that one comes around, we're not sure when that's going to happen. From what I understand, there will be a female member inducted. We just don't know if this female member is permanent or it was just for that night. But there will be a female member. Now the female surprise, if you will, might happen long before any of this. So, anyway, that might breathe some life into the organization, into the group, into the storyline, because now you have a female member representing them. They could go after the Knockouts title. All right, that's cool. That's cool. I'm all for that. You know, have somebody, you know, have Pacific people lined up to go after certain championships. I'm all for that. But, even with that addition, what this individual is asking is, what can they do creatively that's not going to overkill this storyline? It's not going to cause this storyline to go in the direction of the NWO in its later years. You know, because when the NWO was coming to its end, they tried everything to keep it refreshed and revitalized. They tried to split. That sort of worked. That was kind of a success, despite how you feel about it. Because you were kind of having the fans choose. You had them reform, which was a bit of a revival, a bit of helping them out. And then you had them quietly disband. Then you had the Silver Edition, as we like to call it, the Oakland Raider Edition, if you will, join up at the end of '99. They tried to breathe life into it. Didn't work. Even when it came to the WWE, they did everything they could to keep it relevant, keep it fresh, keep it going. Didn't work, didn't succeed. It just died because it was being overbooked. It was being overkilled with direction. It was being overbooked and overkilled with different story ideas and creative direction. And basically, this is what this individual is hoping does not happen with Aces and Eights. Pretty much, he's assuming that, hopefully, he's assuming that that whoever is doing the brilliant writing, or as he calls it, the masterful writing behind the Aces and Eights storyline, that hopefully they're going to target Bound for Glory as a time to wrap this up and just move on. And hopefully that might happen, but then again, it might happen a lot sooner. You see, Aces and Eights, yeah, it's, it really got that shot of adrenaline, that shot of revitalization that it needed, that shot of resurrection that it needed at lockdown. I'll give it that. I will give it that. It got that shot. But you see, what this individual is afraid is going to happen is that if they don't start to come up with ideas to wrap this storyline up and bring it to a conclusion, either at Bound for Glory, if not maybe let's say in the next 2 months Slammiversary, then you're pretty much going to kill the storyline and the momentum of the storyline in the group before you get to its conclusion. And just like before lockdown, not a lot of people are going to take it seriously. No one's going to look at the group anymore as a threat. So I pose the question to you. Do you agree with this individual? And as you read the article, click on the link. Do you agree with them? And when do you think they should slowly start to wind this down? What event? Do you think in the next 2 months? Do you think it should be at Bound for Glory? When do you think it should happen? Now, the other question is, and again another link will be provided, who would this year's next Hall of Fame inductee for TNA's Hall of Fame be? Who will be the next inductee? Or who will be the next inductees? You see, we don't know if they're going to expand to maybe 1 or 2. You see, last year was the inaugural year for the Hall of Fame. So obviously taking a page out of the WWE, they decided just to have one inductee into the Hall of Fame, and that was Sting, which is good. Put Sting in the Hall of Fame as your first inductee and be done with it. But yet, a lot of people are wondering, when are the others possible candidates going in? You see, there's no doubt there's many names associated with TNA right now, or have been associated with TNA, that deserve to go in. But the question is, who will be going in? Who's next? And they also asked the question of whether or not Dixie Carter is going to use this as sort of like what they presume Vince McMahon uses the WWE for. You see, this person assumes that Vince McMahon uses the WWE to only induct the people he likes, the people that he wants. You know what I'm saying? So what they're afraid of, so what they're trying to say is that they're not afraid of, but what they're wondering is Dixie Carter doing the same thing with the TNA Hall of Fame? Is she just going to slowly use it to induct who she wants? And by doing so, try to keep them within the company for as long as she can. I mean, that's how they assume she did with Sting. She got Sting in the Hall of Fame, and thus he's still with the company. But now the question is, who's next? And will that be the case with the next inductee? You know, I mean, they said the two obvious names, together or individually, that is the obvious choice of not just TNA itself, but should be the obvious choice of the fan, to the fans, and to those in the wrestling business. That the obvious next two choices for an induction together or individually is the Jarretts. Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett. And believe me, if Jeff's the next one inducted, get ready to see a lot of assumed Jeff Jarrett positions over the next few weeks leading to Slammiversary from the Schleg Daddy. But anyway, those two are the obvious two names that come up. Now the other names that this person has dropped as possibilities are Kurt Angle and Hulk Hogan. Now some people might say, well, Hogan doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame of TNA. He's only been there about, what, two years now? Doesn't make him eligible. Yes, but think about it, if you're Dixie Carter and you don't want to possibly lose this guy back to the WWE, what are you going to do? You're going to feed his ego and say, you know what, Hulk? You know what? I want to put Hulk Hogan in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, he hasn't been with the company that long, just barely 2-3 years now, but you know what? He's Hall of Fame bound. Let's put him in. Even though he hasn't really competed that much in the TNA ring. You know what I'm saying? It would be kind of like what people thought of when Vern Gagne got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He was never associated with the WWE in any form. Never really wrestled for them. You know what I'm saying? Never really wrestles for them. But he still gets inducted. So that would sort of be the same case with Hulk. But then again, it could not be Hulk. It could be Kurt. This person pointed out that Kurt's current contract has 1 year left on it. And there's been speculation of whether or not Kurt would renew or Kurt would let it expire and kind of finish up back where he started, and that's the WWE. We don't really know yet. But if she was to put Kurt in, then again, that would kind of be stroking his ego and saying, hey, I want you to stay with the company. You're a second Hall of Fame inductee. Who knows? And of course, there's other names being thrown out there, like maybe AJ, even though he still has a lot of years ahead of him. You know, I mean, the list is obvious. Scott Hall, perhaps, because he was part of TNA when it first began. You know, Ken Shamrock, just to name a few. So the question is, who would be the next one? And is Dixie using this just to keep people within the company? You know, it makes you wonder. It makes you honestly wonder about that. But, you know, but let me know what you guys think. I'm going to provide a link down below to both of these articles. I want you guys to take your time and read them, but let me know what you guys think about it. Do you agree about the whole Aces and Eights deal? And do you agree, and who do you think is going to be in the Hall of Fame? And do you think Dixie's using it just so she can keep certain people within the company and not let them go? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'll talk to you all later.